For John Dewey, reflective practice then is an accumulation of experience along with reflection and, most significantly, learning. The idea for this is that John Dewey, as the founder of progressivism, really looks at the nature of experience and learning as a combination developed from reflection. And this is particularly helpful for us in terms of defining the relationships between experience, reflection, and learning. Now, Dewey states that experience is an interaction between the individual and the environment in which they're operating. And an experience includes participation by the individual and by others. And there are activities which the reflective practitioner can engage with in terms of that experience. And what the extension to this model defines is that the development of that experience can first start with things like a literature review or discussion with others or observing other people's practice and taking notes rather than just the direct experience. And then secondly, the idea is that experience, reflection and learning are part of a continual flow of knowledge acquisition for the reflective practitioner. It's about the reflective practitioner developing knowledge from experience, but longitudinally and continually, so that the process never stops. Dewey called this continuity. And consequently, learning from reflection is not only a continuous process, but it's also a cumulative process, building up and extending over time. And therefore, prior learning forms a significant part of this experiential process, because prior learning provides the bedrock, the foundation for new learning. And what Dewey was always saying in terms of his model, because of this continuity aspect to it, is that there are certain modes of thinking which are very, very important for the reflective practitioner. There are certain focus points that we need to think about. The reflective practitioner certainly needs to have a good deal of imagination around the teaching learning transaction, and to be finding ways to experiment and to develop the skills and knowledge that they have. And along with this, there's a belief system that each individual has about teaching and learning, about what is good teaching and what is effective learning. And this, in terms of continuity, comes together as a process of thinking over time, what Dewey called a stream of consciousness, where prior learning informs current experience and leads to new experience and new learning. And this is all part of reflection and how experience, reflection and learning come together. And Dewey recognizes, he acknowledges that imagination and belief and stream of consciousness and reflection are important thinking activities for the individual teacher, but they don't necessarily contribute to learning as such. And certainly he was saying that learning needs to be a thoughtful, active process by the individual in order to make reflection meaningful. Without learning, there is no point in reflection. And so reflection plays a very clear role in terms of facilitating learning for the reflective practitioner. reflection is that added component which makes the whole process of development work and makes the actual development meaningful. And so reflection needs to be active. It's not a passive process. When we reflect as teachers, we're examining our beliefs and our understandings, and we're looking at the implications of these. And the reflections then, the reflection then becomes an intentional process by the individual rather than a routine action. And it's this which becomes important, because it's this reflection on perplexity that creates the need for change and also directs change and offers the definition of how we achieve change. And a key point is that informed action by the reflective practitioner is a thinking process, and is a thinking process which leads to learning. And beyond that, the thinking process and learning leads to new experiences. And these new experiences in and of themselves provide opportunities for further reflection and further learning. And what Dewey said is that reflection is a process which generates inquiry.